If I get likes on this video, I will shave my head again. This video is going to have two parts. The first part is going to be my new hair reveal, and the second part is the AuthorTube Newbie Tag. So if you're like, what the heck, I'm not here for hair, I'm here for AuthorTube, then you can just go down to the description below and skip to the second part of this video where you will find my newbie tag. So, drum roll. Are you ready? Are you ready? This is my new hair. Yeah. So for those of you who didn't already know, I actually shaved my head. This is what it looked like when it was first shaved. Just some candid photos of it shaved. And this is all the new hair that's grown in since I shaved it. This is what it's currently at, so its current length. I want to start again with new fresh hair that's not dyed yet. This is my natural color. I want to see how long I can grow it when it's completely natural, completely free of any kind of chemical. So the reason why I shaved it is because the hair that was already out of my head, it had been dyed a couple of times because the first hairdresser I went to had messed up the color and it looked like Sweeney Todd. Sweeney Todd style hair.
At last.
So I had to go back again and re-bleach it. It got bleached and dyed twice, so it was completely dead. The ends were just breaking apart in your fingers. It was just bad. So I wanted to just start again without having had any chemicals placed in my hair. This hair has never seen a hairdresser, just so you know. I cut it as short as possible. I took a razor and just shaved it all off. I haven't cut it since. I haven't been to a hairdresser, and I just want to see how long it can get when it's completely healthy and again hasn't been touched by any chemicals. I use all natural shampoo on it as well. That's also free of any chemicals. Yeah, this is the result so far, and I'm just really curious to see how long it can get and how healthy it can be without any sort of intervention, if you get what I mean. And I'm hoping for great results. Now that I'm looking back on it though, I am thinking that it would have been cool to document the whole process from when I shaved it, start filming videos from the day that it's shaved, maybe even film the shaving video. But I didn't want to do that because I wanted it to be more of a personal thing that I did. Now that I'm looking back, I think it would have been cool to do. I just think it's an interesting experiment. It will be interesting to, even at its current length, document through these videos to see its process and how long it takes to grow. But I was thinking, because it's so short still, I wouldn't mind shaving it again. If you guys want, it's not a huge deal to me personally. I've already experienced it for myself, but if you guys are curious to know or to see it in live action, I guess, just let me know and I'll see what I can do. I was thinking that if I got a certain amount of likes on this video, then I would consider shaving it again. Then it would show that there's a demand to see that kind of video. I think it all depends. But if I do end up getting 1,000 likes on this video and a bunch of comments saying, yes, please, I want to see it, I'll consider doing it again. But unless that does happen, I think my process going forward will just be to maximize what I can with the hair I currently have and see how far I could take it, or in other words, I guess, how long I could take it. Alright, but enough about my hair. Let's move on to the AuthorTube Newbie Tag part of this video. Hello everyone, my name is Robin and welcome to my newbie tag video. Yes, I'm sitting on the floor. I'm still experimenting with different angles of what works best for filming. This is just what I'm trying today. I'm going to be reading the questions from my laptop here, so let's get started. Question 1 is, what is your book's pitch? If you have multiple works, choose your favorite. Alright, so I'll pitch The Boathouse. That's my standalone novel that I published last year. The Boathouse is a standalone supernatural suspense horror of two siblings descending into a harrowing world of isolation while on a trip to escape the hustle of city life. That's literally just my door opening on its own. Not even joking right now. It fits the theme of the book. What can I say? Alright, let me go close that window. Okay, I'm back and we're trying out a new angle here. Let's see if this is better quality audio. If you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? This is a really funny one actually, because when I was young, I used to imagine that my life was a movie. I'm sure everyone has done this because we are, in a way, the protagonist of our own stories. I just remember that when I read this question. I literally rolled credits in my head when my movie began. So, yeah. What do you usually write? Psychological books. I'm a huge fan of psychological horror. My series, though, is not so much psychological. The Boathouse is very psychological. Moving forward, I want to write more psychological suspense novels, but I would say the things that all my books have in common is that they're all set in the real world, but with a supernatural element. I really like exploring the reactions of everyday people to some crazy phenomena. This is kind of the common theme in all my books, and I think it's going to stay that way. I don't think I could ever create a fantastical world and world build an entire fantasy. I prefer my settings to be set in reality for whatever reason. I think the closest example of this would be Stephen King. If you watch my previous videos, I always talk about him, but that's because I'm a big fan of not only his writing and his ability to tell a story, but also the genre that he writes in. That's exactly the genre that I am pursuing to write in as well. This kind of supernatural, suspense, thriller, horror, things that happen to everyday people in the real world. What's something you'll never write? Well, I used to always say that I will never write a romance book. I have never written a romance. I've just never explored it before. But nowadays, I think that I would never say never. Maybe one day I will try and explore that side of my writing as well. Who knows? So I don't think that there's anything that I would never write. We'll see though. What's your goal for starting an AuthorTube channel? I have a lot of different ideas and a lot of different things that I explore. I really wanted a medium to be able to share that with everyone. I thought that videos, AuthorTube, YouTube would be a great place to explore different ideas, talk about different topics, brainstorm things, potentially meet other authors who are writing in the same genre as me. Whenever I learn something, I love to just share it with others and talk about what I learned today. If you watch my video about the Evo planner that I set up, I talk a little bit about my brain type and how that specific brain type loves to share what they've learned throughout the day. And that's exactly me. I love to learn new things and share them with people. So that's kind of my goal for this channel. I don't know if goal is the right word or not. It's just something that I enjoy doing and I want to do more of. What made you start writing? I've always written. Like, ever since I could pick up a pen to write, I've always been writing. You know, in grade 1, I would always just write. I would get together everyone in the class, dream up these big imaginary stories and act it out with everyone and encourage them to write it down with me. So I've always kind of done this. I guess the answer is as soon as I could write, I have been writing. As soon as I could put my imagination, my stories down into words, I was always writing them down. I was honestly even writing when I wasn't supposed to be writing, like I was supposed to be doing other work at school, but I was not doing it. I was mostly just writing and daydreaming. I actually have a funny story about this. I don't know if I should be saying this because it was actually me being rebellious in elementary school, but in grade 1 to 3, I went to a Montessori school. If you're not familiar with the system, the way it works is that there's a lot of things placed around the room. You don't usually sit at desks the way the regular school system works. You do your own thing. So you have this journal, you make a list of all the things you're going to work on that day, and you check it off as you do them. Let's say you write down practice cursive writing, practice math, sentence diagramming. What I would essentially do is I would write in the journal all those things, and at the end I would say writing story. I would take, for example, the math textbook and I would write a bunch of numbers, and then I would take the bookmark and put it further into the book, so when the teachers glanced my way they would see me with the book, and then I would close it, put it back, check it off that I did it when I really was not doing it. I would do the same to all of those things, and in the end when I got to the writing I would be like, okay, now I could actually do something, and then I would write. I actually got away with it for a good portion of the year. It wasn't until like 3/4 of the way through the year that the teachers finally noticed that I wasn't doing anything but writing. But yeah, essentially that kind of sums up how writing has been a part of my life even back then, you know, all the way since I was very young. Moving on to the next question though, what is your publishing path? I'm currently self-publishing. The books I have out right now are all self-published. I may consider doing hybrid. I was always interested in both self and traditional publishing. Right now though, I'm currently just self-publishing. What content do you bring to the AuthorTube table? I have a lot of videos published where I talk about different tools that authors can use to help in their writing or publishing process. I have some reviews up, and I have a few videos about my bookshelf, my favorite books, as well as tips for other authors who are thinking of self-publishing. I think what I mainly bring to the AuthorTube table in terms of content is more of a variety and just my experience with the self-publishing process. So far I've only self-published, so that's all I could really talk about, my experiences and what I learned along the way. And hopefully that will help some of you who are also thinking about self-publishing. I like to explore different things that I find and share it with everyone. That's the same with publishing and writing as well. So if I find a new tool or something that has helped me in my process, then I will definitely share it with you guys on this channel. What's your biggest writing struggle? My biggest struggle in terms of actually writing, like the writing process, is probably my perfectionism. I feel like if I don't get each sentence as good as it can be, I will have a hard time believing that my book is worth it, if that makes sense. Keeping the writing consistent as well when I'm in different moods or different parts of the day or writing at different times is also a really big struggle for me. Before I started writing novels and seriously publishing them, I would write a lot of short stories and poetry as well, and I find that a lot easier because you can write it all in one sitting. Novels, on the other hand, you go away from them, then you come back again. I find that my writing is very adaptable as well. It adapts to the current mood that I'm in, or if I just read another kind of book, I will just have that in my mind and I will begin to write like that book. So because of that, I think it's even more important for me to read exactly what I want to write. So if I want to write in a certain genre, then to really read in that genre and be in that headspace for that writing. So my biggest struggle has been related to that. I really need to read that kind of genre before I start writing in order to keep my writing consistent. Another AuthorTuber I watched recently mentioned that they read first thing in the morning. They read, I think, half a book or something, which is insane. Like, I need to read more. To read half a book first thing in the morning, that's amazing. But yeah, I think that's a really good idea to read something that will inspire you and put you in that headspace right before you start writing. I think I'm gonna do more of that moving forward. What's your best writing skill? I personally think it might be the adaptability. I can write in different genres, just about a wide range of topics. Whenever I read something, I can adopt that tone and use that when I write. I also asked one of my friends who's read my books this question, what they would say my biggest writing skill is in terms of what I do best when I write books. And they said it was sensory description, that I can paint really good pictures of the setting, the environment. That might be because I usually imagine my stories as movies or a series of pictures first before I write it down. I can very accurately picture with vivid imagination what something looks like and then put it to words. Something that I might need to work on though is dialogue, I think. It's harder for me to picture dialogue in a movie for some reason than it is to build a setting. I know it sounds kind of counter because I don't world build as much. I think I spent so much time daydreaming when I was young that I've developed the ability to just imagine things very, very vividly and imagine how things would feel. So that might be the writing skill that I use for my books that maybe people might notice. The boathouse as well is very setting based, very atmospheric. That setting is definitely a character in the story. Okay, the next says choose between questions 11 and 12. Question 11 is, if you've been on AuthorTube for a while, what is your best AuthorTube tip? And question 12 is, if you're new to AuthorTube, what is your biggest AuthorTube question? I think I'm going to answer number 11 just because I already have some AuthorTube videos up. This isn't my first one or my second one. I haven't been on AuthorTube for that long though, I think about a month or two. I don't like giving tips or advice as much as I just like to talk about what has worked and what hasn't worked for me and what I personally am trying to follow, and then whatever people want to take out of that, they can take whatever they like. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to upload consistently every Saturdays an AuthorTube video, every Wednesdays more exploratory kind of video where I either do my music or I make video versions of my Medium posts. So what I'm trying to do to keep to a consistent schedule, because I'm usually bad at that. The videos I upload are by no means perfect. I'm still learning. If I didn't start before I felt like these videos were good enough, then I would have honestly never started. I still don't feel like these videos are good enough, but I post them anyway because I want to create and I want to share everything that I learned. So those are just the two things that I'm working on doing, is just to post and to post consistently. In terms of writing, I find that I do best when I set deadlines for myself. There's an external deadline set for me. Even when I was in school, I would always finish things before the deadline. I was actually the last person who would ask for an extension on a homework assignment. So I apply this to my writing as well. If I set a strict deadline for myself, I will usually get it done unless something else gets in the way of that. I find that I personally work best with this. When it comes to showing up places, I'm always late, so that's not in the same category for me. This is just purely about work deadlines. And by deadlines, I not only refer to finish this by this date, but I also refer to the book itself. So finish this book. That's kind of like a deadline to me, or a goal, I guess. Goal or deadline can be used interchangeably here. I also usually don't allow myself to work on multiple projects at once. Then I feel like I will never finish them. When I was young, I started so many books I have an entire giant container in my basement full of notebooks that I have half-written stories in, and I feel like I've come a long way from that, and it has helped to just stick to one book at a time and one project at a time. Question number 13. Are you looking for any new channels to follow, betas, CPs, or other types of writer buddies? Yes, the more the merrier. I love connecting with people. I love brainstorming ideas with other writers, especially if you're writing in the same genre as me. I would love to connect. You can definitely leave a comment below if you're interested in something like this. We could even collaborate on a project together, but CPs and betas for sure. All right, we're on to the final question. What are you most excited for during this new fresh start on AuthorTube? What I'm most excited for on AuthorTube is just to connect with other writers or other creatives who are also on similar journeys to making their creative dreams come true. I really want to encourage and collaborate with people. I just think it makes writing and the whole process so much more fun when you're doing it with other people. So I'm excited for fun times to come. So that's it for the 14 AuthorTube Newbie Tag questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.